Hey guys, Editor Q here, coming to talk to you guys at the beginning of the video. I know we said we wanted to make session 1 the best we could possibly give you, and we had tried very hard. I had made sure I'd done a bunch of prep work so I didn't have to do a lot in Foundry, and wanted to make it the best we could physically do. However, my computer had a little oopsie whoopsie between session 0 and session 1. There was a issue with my audio drivers in my microphone, and so I had to reset all of my microphone stuff. I had to uninstall all the drivers, everything, reinstall them. A lot of technical stuff to fix it and get my microphone actually working between that time. I forgot about it day 1 when we were recording session, and as we recorded, I did not notice that the OBS, my recording software, did not pick up any of my microphone audio. So I don't have any of my audio for the entire session 1. I do, however, want to still give you guys a session 1 and have fun with it. So session 1 is going to be highly edited with me coming in. Since I'm the GM, I can come in and give introductions and give character descriptions and give stuff. So you're going to see me looking like Editor Q popping in that looks different than Q you'll see in the video as I'm coming in to give introductions. If I say anything of importance or anything that I can't dub over, then I'll put subtitles down to kind of help you guys, but we're just going to go through kind of the highlights. So it won't be a normal raw session 1 like I enjoy and I hope to be doing from session 2 onward, as I checked it and fixed all the issues and everything. But we still have some of those issues, so I'm going to cut through, and when the players are talking, I'm going to mostly keep putting that stuff so you guys still get the roleplay from them and the combat that we have in this session and everything, but a lot of it's going to be highly edited. So I just wanted to let you guys know that ahead of time so that you can see why it looks so weird and odd, and why sometimes I come in and say certain stuff and everything. Without further ado, welcome to Session 1 of Fatebroken, Campaign 2, Dark Sun. You dared to defile us. You dared to challenge our power. Now you will feel the full wrath of what we have. We gave your world meaning. We gave you purpose. We brought order where you only sought chaos. And so now, chaos is what you will have. I am Lythander, god of gods, king of all, emperor of the Nixian Empire, changer of fates and illithid prime. And I have judged your sins, your heresy against us, and I have found your whole world guilty. You were but mortals who happened upon each other. That small town of Draville that you called home, that you wandered into, changed your lives. It broke your fates and cut you off from us. Your destinies changed that day, and when you began the hunt for the changeling, for Mephiles, that is where your true destiny was found. You sought after him, following him to Rhymefell, where his abominations laid in wait, where you destroyed them and his prototype god-killing machines. It was here that we decided you could have been used to us. You could be molded into heroes and used for our own advantage. It was here that we decided you were not just waste. So when you followed Mephiles' plans over to Cayenne, we sought you out individually. We chose each and every one of you and brought you up from being fateless whelps to becoming legendary heroes. And when you unleashed Mephiles' wrath, his wretched plan on this world, the great evil, the massive brain, the god-killing machine that sought to control the minds of everyone in this world, we knew sacrifices had to be made. And sacrifices would be made. We chose one of you, the weakest amongst you, who turned to be the strongest. We thought with that one out of the picture, you would become more susceptible to our words. But You surrounded yourself with more allies that opposed us. And it was then that we knew you would have to die in order for us to protect our empire. You went against our wishes. You sought out my daughter, and you brought her back from her slumber, only to get her killed with your own very actions. And then finally, you followed the Chosen down into the Underdark, where you faced him, a friend turned enemy. And it was here that you hatched your plan to kill us and take our place as gods among men. We chose knowingly to send you like a ranger fires an arrow right at Mephiles, and you shot true. You defeated the Great Plague on both our lives, but it was here that you chose to defy us. It was here that you chose to break the trust we had built. And so it is here that I will enact my final punishment on your world. We will leave just as you wanted. And you will see what a world of no gods does to society. You will see how depraved and desperate your people will become. In the end, when you are begging for us to return to fix your mess, that is when we will send our heralds. That is when we will send our changers. But not to save your world. No, it will be to prepare your world, to begin the harvest. For when we return, it will not be to save your world, but to put it down like the diseased animal it has become. You will watch, you will wait with anticipation, you will see the signs. But until that time comes, you are welcome to enjoy your world under a dark sun. And those were his last words to me. The last time the gods ever answered a prayer on this world. At first, the words made me angry, so they meant little to me. But as time grew ever longer, as these 500 years expanded, I came to understand the words more and more. I saw the signs the old gods spoke about. And I know the end is coming. But the best part of this whole experiment they have us in, it is that in the end, the gods were right. At least about us. In the end, one of us was consumed by zeal, and will not stop until the whole world will kneel. Another consumed by a curse, I feel that he has lost his sight. But he is still uniting siblings with a fight. And finally me, for it seems my end has come, as I am sitting here writing this on a white throne, made from flesh and bone. This world is a world built under a dark sun, with events that have transpired that have drastically changed it. The world is still Aldeon, the world that you know from Campaign 1. But it is set 500 years after the ending events of the last campaign. Essentially after the three of you fought and killed Mephiles, and Tomon defied the gods and tried to get rid of them. The gods are gone. Most in the world assume the gods are dead, and the story goes that they were killed by the heroes of old who tried to take over as them. But now, these sorcerer king and queens have become the gods of new. Sorcerer kings and queens are very powerful magical wielders who have grown in so much power they rival gods in the scope for mortals. Civility left when the oceans did, which is another massive thing. The oceans have all dried up. Desert, sand, and savagery is all that is left. It is not safe to travel the world, and so many people become isolationists, living their entire lives never leaving their small borough or neighborhood. Those that do adventure out in the world learn quickly of the dangers of cannibalism, war boys, slave traders that all roam the desert who look for their next meal or their next paycheck. Speaking about
Nice.
treasures, the currency of the world has changed. Metal has become so precious that most weapons are made of bone and wood, and armors are made for ulterior leathers like humanoid leather. So, how do people buy these things? With new currency, which is called ceramic coins. Each ceramic coin is a circular coin divided into 10 different pieces. Those individual pieces are called CCP, or ceramic coin pieces. 5 of those pieces are called an HCP, or a half ceramic coin piece. And a whole ceramic coin piece is called a WCP, or whole ceramic coin piece. And all old currency is called MP, or metallic coin pieces, which that can be a piece of a gold coin, piece of a platinum coin. Doesn't matter, they're all called metallic coin pieces, and they function as the highest level of currency. They are essentially platinum. Most people live their entire lives and die in this world and never see it. The city that you are taking place, that we're beginning this campaign in, is called Anui. It is a mountain-based city which has multiple sections in it. It has the undercity of Anui, where you guys mostly reside, which is where the queen and a few nobles live, and then the massive amount of slaves. There is a upper city that is where a lot of the more regular average people live, and then there's the dockyard, which is the hardworking industrial zone of the city. The sorcerer queen who runs Anui is called Iliath, and she is nicknamed the Queen of the Mulls because she's worshipped by Mulls. Mulls are a new race of people that are essentially a mix between dwarves and humans, and the people of Anui, the dwarves, these artificers, which are not exclusively dwarves now, but the artificers of Anui have essentially merged DNA and play with DNA and mess with it on a magical level to create things such as Mulls, which are genetically designed creatures to be obedient slaves, and they're usually made for a purpose. These obedient slaves are given a magical potion that give them fake memories. The memories essentially lead them to either worship Iliath as their queen, Queen of the Mulls, if they are to stay in Anui, or they're given a new potion that supplants those memories with memories of their new master, so they worship their new master. Mulls are essentially the most loyal and best slave, and it is the main export of Anui. The important thing about Anui is Anui does not have a source of water, and the desert is hot, and the world is hot, and you need water to survive. So they trade Mulls for water across all of Aldion. Anui has kind of made itself the center of the trade empire of Aldion. They also invented sand skiffs, which are these small little ships that essentially have skis on the bottom of them that can glide across the sand. And so most of the trade comes through Anui, which is why they need a big slave population, which is why they need you guys as players to make sure you can get the work done. Back and forth, back and forth. You take the toenail that you have ripped off your own toe, and you keep sawing back and forth, back and forth. Every night you continue back and forth, back and forth. You heard the crew talking about stopping soon to sell you. So every night you wake up, you continue your work, back and forth, back and forth. You're not supposed to be here. You know you didn't break any rules. You followed the sun god's laws like a zealot and obeyed his decrees. Your family clawed their way out of the well of light, but when you went back for her, that was when it all fell apart. You understand the saying now. Never try to be a hero. This world eats heroes. But you made a promise, so you continue sawing, cutting, clawing your way out of another hole. You overheard the deck crew saying that there's maybe a day or two till you arrive, wherever they are taking you. You have to make your escape soon. So you cut, you saw, you claw your way out of another hole. Again, back and forth, back and forth. You do whatever it takes to get back to the City of Sun, your city where she is. And after a long night of cutting, finally, the rope gives way. The snapping binds that held you in this cage fall at your feet. You feel a great sigh of relief. At that moment, you have a choice. Save the others or get out of here. Choose yourself, or choose selflessness. It would be easier to get out of here now, while it's still dark. You can jump off the ship, land in the dunes, no one would even suspect you, and you'd be gone before they could even circle back. But all these people here have families, all of them taken just like you. A few seconds shouldn't hurt them. Could it? Would it? You quickly find a few sharp objects, begin passing them out, and you help those who cannot cut their own binds. Quickly, others run up the deck. Jump off, you hear them, escaping to their freedom. You think about home as you're sawing, cutting, how much she would love what you are doing. Not only would you be able to tell her that you escaped, but you'd be able to tell her that you helped all these people too. But you were too caught up in your own fantasy that you didn't even hear the footsteps behind. The throats being cut, the blood-curdling gurgles as the red leaves their bodies. It was only when the thunderous female voice shook the lower deck to its core.
Well, what do we have here? A mutiny on my ship.
You grip the knife tight and turn around to face her. The large Tri-Cree, a mantis-like being on this world. The captain of this ship, and the person that bought you from the man that you considered a friend once.
Aye, fighter, that is good. I was afraid I would have to upsell you to the Anui Dockmasters. But it turns out you are going to sell yourself.
She takes her hands and gestures wide, almost as if she is inviting challenge, opening herself up to you.
Well, hero, show me what you've got.
You take the moment, you lunge out, cut her across the face, leaving a deep, nasty incision from her cheek to her neck. You use this to run, but you only get 3 steps before you feel a heavy hit of metal on your skull. With a resounding thud, you fall to the ground and begin to fade in and out of consciousness. The last words you hear her say are,
Well, you got me good, hero. This should up your price by 20 whole CCP.
Then the black takes you. When you are awakened, it is in a tent with 10 other assorted men and women. You're quickly told that your new name is but a number, 86534, a designation for all slaves of Anui, a place you would begrudgingly begin to call home. Now, Colt, can you please introduce your character, Velris Jarmusch?
Yeah. His name is Velros Jarmash. He is
Hi, Velros.
he's a Drake sorcerer who is from the Sun City, as you probably gathered.
You are not safe here. You are not safe anywhere. You are not even you anymore. You've been stripped of everything that makes you, well, you. Where you came from, your name was Katamora Stormrider. But here, you are just 33725. A number in a numerous group of numbers that bow to the dwarven nobles of Anui. Back home in Cobalt's Fortune, you had a life. It wasn't more than a pitiful life, but it was a life. You never wanted for water. You never wanted for most things. Everything was so plentiful you could get as much as you wanted. You never knew true thirst until you ventured into the desert, into the deep desert. They don't tell you that the desert is never-ending, hot, and for the most part empty. It is said that most humanoids need at least 1 gallon of water each day in the desert. Funny how they don't tell you how to gather it, though. Under the dark sun in the deep desert, you found out just how precious water is. And in a moment of delirium and dehydration, you saw things. Things like watching yourself call upon water to sprout from the very sand. It's almost as if you had the ability to pull from the plane of water, force it to bleed into the material plane. Whether hallucination or reality doesn't matter when you are that thirsty. You drink up, you thank whatever power has put you in this place, given you this ability. But then you don't watch what is around you. That is the great lie. No one explains how violent the world has become, how savage the world outside of Kobold's fortune truly is. And that is how you wound up as a slave, being sold to slave masters, being given a number in this wretched city. A place that takes everything from you, all to produce for someone else. They call you 33725 and make you disposable. So you inevitably think the only way to get yourself out is to show power, show the secrets you have, or the things you can do that others cannot. But that is not the way. Only another lie. This is how you get yourself taken by the artificers, these sick, twisted rulers of Anui, the people that love to take apart other people and see if they can put them back together in the right way. You have seen it firsthand. Saw them cut down men just to see what color their blood is. Saw them return people in pieces or shells of what they once were. And so you wait, you hide, and you slowly explore your magic where you can. Continuously waiting for the perfect moment to strike, to get out of this place, to return back to Katamora, Storm Rider. Now, Ryan, will you please introduce us to your character, Katamora Storm Rider?
God damn it, I forgot to do that. Hey y'all, I'm a blue guy. His name is Katamaro Stormrider. He's a Tempest, lightning flinging, hate slashing mage. And hopefully you'll come to love him. I'm gonna leave all the secrets for them to watch. Yeah, half elf Nari, kind of human-like and kind of very much like the picture, just kind of blue. There seems to be like an unsettling wind, or like or he seems to be like wet or damp when like other people aren't. Um, so he's a little bit of like an unsettling figure, but there's quite a few mysteries surrounding him.
It has been 2 days since you lost your eyes. At least that is what you think. It is hard to count the days from the inside of a crate being transported across the desert. You try hard to listen, to hear anything, but the dark takes you again. It seems you only see in dreams now, or nightmares. Nightmares that you wish to close your eyes in, but every time you drift in that darkness, every time it takes you, it greets you with an anguished smile of pain. You feel the blade piercing your eyelids. You feel the red warmth as it coats your face. You awaken to a familiar smell. Could this be Anui, your home? A loud thud on the crate rumbles. You instinctively let out a yelp of pain. You hear someone say something, and then the dark takes you again. The same images, the same feelings, again and again. The blade, those words, commanding, urging. Your hands moving without the authority to stop anything. You awaken and feel around. You are now on a table, restraints on each limb and around your neck and head. A voice familiar speaks.
Is this the one that is broken?
Yes, one of my prized experiments. It is a shame what has happened to you, 28776.
Should we be speaking to it, sir?
Oh, it is fine. It is completely unconscious.
Well then, shall we begin, sir?
Oh, yes, let's begin the experiments.
You hear the sound of sharpening tools, knives, bone saws. You hear the spells being cast to keep the artificer's hands steady. Then you feel it. The searing pain on your scalp, the red warmth flowing down, the pinch and prodding inside your own head. You want to scream, you want to lash out, but for some reason you cannot. You remain still, like a machine, like the machine they think you are. Eventually, darkness takes you again, and you are back in Cayenne. Go through the same events over and over again. Each time you do it, each time you reiterate to yourself who you are, what you are, then you awaken. You feel around and you can tell you're in a cave. You feel canvas, maybe a tent. You quickly gather that you've been brought back to one of the mining camps, and you hear a voice. The Eorot has got himself up. Would you look at that, folks? You feel a hand wrap around your neck and begin squeezing, pulling you up the cavern wall till your feet can't feel the ground anymore. We heard you were some defective thing, some broken mole, so I want to see how much and I can break you till the dog can put you back. You're gasping for air, feeling the hands tighten around your neck, feeling yourself falling into a dark slumber, and a wave of peace begins to wash over you. This must be your penance for failure. This is where your story ends, where the final dot is written at the end. But then another wave washes over you. A feeling of warmth, a feeling of red, of anger. In a blur, you only get red flashes of the world around you, the minds of people nearby, your arms outstretched, holding down this massive orcish man, your hands wrapping around his neck, squeezing the life force out of him. As his last breath goes to leave his body, you keep saying to yourself the same thing, hearing the same word. But this time, you quite like the word. It seems to have a nice ring to it now. So you take it as your name. You are a killer, after all. Mac, can you please introduce us to your character, Killer?
Yeah, no problem. So this is Killer. He's a mall. He's broken and defective. He's a mall is a crossbreed between a dwarf and a human, I believe. They're genetically made for certain purposes. So he hasn't lived very long, but he doesn't know that. And yeah, 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 that's about it.
You find yourself inside the docks of Anui, all for a job of unloading and loading cargo, a typical job for slaves of Anui. The docks here, as you can see by the picture, are raining and do have pools of water, but that's not water and that's not regular rain, it's acid rain.
Yeah.
The Anui docks have been plagued by a slave revolt long ago. You wouldn't necessarily be told it's a slave revolt, it's more called to y'all as a revolt, or
Jesus
as a
Christ.
curse that was put on them. There's a lot of misinformation in this world, so you guys wouldn't necessarily know everything. But essentially a spell, a permanent spell, has been cast upon the docks of Anui where acid rain consistently goes down. It burns, it trickles on the skin and creates a searing, burning feeling, and creates pools under the docks that are essentially acid pools that if you fall into, you will die. The main reason why they use slaves to load and unload things is because of these docks. The dock master, who yours is called Thornton Oxwell, a dwarven male. He's a little bit on the older side, maybe about like 35-ish, long gray beard, short man, but he is very stern, very disciplined. He does not take any shit when he's the dockmaster. And he sits under a awning area nearby the docks. Currently, he is speaking to a captain, one of the captain of the various sand skiffs out here. And this captain is an older man as well, probably in his late 30s, probably around like 37, which is fairly old in this world. Long gray beard with sand all in it. A brass sword showing that he is very, very prominent and wealthy individual, that he has a metal sword. And he's pretty well kept with his outfit, but it is sand throughout it, as he is an adventurer and a avid sand skiff captain.
Keeping their moneymaker clean.
That would make sense.
Most of the sand skiffs are just regular sand skiffs. There is a big, massive ship off in the corner that you guys can look more into. I'm going to need you all to make me secret perception check rolls for that.
I can't believe it. They can't even see me roll the nat one.
I
Is that
have
what you're
no
telling me?
eyes. How do you expect me to perceive?
That's rough, buddy.
Yeah, be like Daredevil, dude. Someone sneezes and you get a 30-meter bat radius of everything around you.
Great
Ping,
question.
ping, 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 ping. Oh god.
Wild.
So you notice on the big, massive ship that is there, this sand ship that towers over the sand skiffs, you notice that its name is a familiar name, the Mantis's Pincers. It is the ship that brought you into Anui. And the crew, some of them you recognize as crew members who you specifically interacted with as they stole you away in the desert outside of Kobold's Fortune.
First session's always the fucking hardest to get into, man. Holy hell.
Hey guys, Editor Q here again. Essentially, the rest of this is a lot of roleplay moments that, as much as I want to keep them, they're not hugely fun to listen to one side of a conversation through all of them. As much as I tried to edit as much as I could to get it going, this is to the limit of what I can physically do. So I'm here to briefly summarize essentially what happens. So the players are currently in the docks. What ends up happening is Katamora Stormrider, Ryan's character, ends up leaving a group of slaves to fend for a big box while he helps Velrus Jamash, Colton's character, the Dre, because he dropped the box. As he does this, the consequences are that the slaves end up dropping the box. One of them falls into the acid pool and dies horrifically. The crate also falls into the acid pool, and the other two slaves are beaten to death. This causes the group to kind of come together and work together, and causes them to fall into what ends up being the main story, where the Dogmaster assigns them to the new captain that they met, who they learn his name is Captain Leon Hemingway. He is supposed to take them across the Dune Sea, across the Sea of Sand and Blood, over to the city of Cayenne. They learn this later. And along the trip, they learn that the captain isn't very fond of taking slaves. He never takes slaves. These are the first humanoids he has encountered. They also encounter his first mate, a stowaway by the name of Swiftfoot. She is a tiefling rogue sort of character. She's a very young character. She's about 17, which is about adult age for this world, but she still acts like a 17-year-old, very young. They have some quips back and forth, and then eventually a desert storm comes across their small sand skiff. The captain tries to outrun it, but eventually the sandstorm overcomes them, and they learn the sandstorm is really a defiler, a mage that uses magic to defile the land, was hiding a sand ship, the massive sand ship that they had seen in the docks, called the Mantis's Pincers. Its captain, who two of the characters knew, Velrus and Katamaru, basically told the captain to give up and hand over everything of value, or they would destroy the sand skiff. The captain, wanting to live, freed his three slaves, the player characters, and allowed them to fight alongside. The entire rest of the session is the massive fight, which again, like I said, is not very fun to watch one side of, as only the player characters really get anything. The interesting and fun part is that Colton's character, Velrus Jamash, ends up going down during the fight. The sand skiff dies and it explodes across the sand. And the captain is taken by the Mantis's Pincers. This leaves the group and the first mate to fend for themselves as the sun begins to rise. They form an uneasy alliance where Swiftfoot, the first mate, will head off and try to get help by a nearby place that she knows of called the Blood Drop. And the group will search after the captain, wanting to free him so they could secure their actual freedom from being slaves. And that is where the session ends. we will pick up the session next time. Again, I am extremely sorry about what happened. It was literally a technical issue that I had no idea about until I started editing the video, and then I realized what had happened. And I am really upset with it, probably as upset, if not more, than you guys are watching this, because I wanted Session 1 to be great. But as Max said, one of the last quotes that I ended with, our Session 1s are just difficult. They kind of, at this point, seem cursed, because Fatebroken Campaign 1 didn't have a Session 1, and now this one has a very scuffed Session 1. So hopefully Session 2 will be better, and hopefully we'll see you guys next week. If you liked the video and you enjoy our campaign, then stay here, subscribe, put on notifications, and you'll get updates on all of our videos.